Hello, I am Sensei Kevlar. Welcome back to the Dojo. Thank you all so much for joining me. Welcome to a Mindset Monday, one of my favorite days. So far we've talked about ways of creating strategies that keep us profitable no matter what the market does. No matter what our technical analysis tells us, the market can totally go against it. In this way, technical analysis is nothing more than educated guesswork. Guesswork. That's what we're talking about. However, knowing that a coin has a probability of 50% tells us information that we can further use to inform our decision making by building a plan and optimizing that plan for the most likely market strategies. We can minimize the variance and create profit for ourselves if we allocate correctly over a large set of opportunities. Now, the first part of this is, and the first half of tonight's lesson is going to be about diversification. The reason that we diversify is because we don't know when those opportunities are going to happen. So we have to create a lot of opportunities for ourselves. This is about time in the market, not timing the market. The problem that creates is that what that means is that each allocation for each individual opportunity necessarily is going to be a fraction of our portfolio. The result is that we're not going to be maximizing our money-making potential with all of our money all of the time. This is a reality that we need to accept. We need to recognize that this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. This is a get-smart-quick scheme, and being smart will eventually make you quick. The reason for diversification is not just to ensure that we're ready to take advantage of the opportunities, but it's also to prevent loss. How much money do you plan to lose when the exchange goes away? How much money do you plan to lose when the opportunity that you invested in gets delisted and goes to zero? These things happen. Did you plan to lose 10% of your portfolio and then keep going? Keep making money? Well, you can figure this all out on paper. Here's something I want you to see on paper. People have come to me and they've said, Sensei, if I'm only making, a tiny investment and then the market goes up and I'm selling everything, I'm only making a tiny amount. And I said, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. This is a problem that we could address by buying more. The problem is that we don't know when the market's going to go against us, and then we need more to buy more. We need more money to buy. Okay? The result is that if we are only doing this with very, 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 very small amounts of money, and we're only making very, very small motions on our portfolio, and we're doing this over a long time frame, well, this is the eighth wonder of the world. It's called compound interest. Okay? What I want to show you is that, yes, we're making on one opportunity a 10% profit, a 15% profit, maybe, but we're doing that using 10% of our portfolio, 5% of our portfolio. So it's 10% of 10%, right? Instead of actually making 10% of our profit, we're making 1%, or we're making 0.5%. Because of the amount of money that we're investing. And what I'm going to point out to you is that that's worth it. That's actually a good strategy compared to not making any money at all. It's a better strategy than going in and then losing money sometimes. Right? The variance on betting higher and accepting a stop loss is going to be much greater, and it's going to cause you more variation and more variance on your gains and losses. Namely, you're going to have losses at all that you count on your portfolio, versus the strategy that I have taught you. So if you're only making dollars, if you're only making, literally pennies on the dollar, as it were, percent of a percent, and this is averaging out over a large time frame. This is averaging out over a large set of opportunities. This is averaging out over a large, we're gonna do this across a bunch of different opportunities. Different opportunities are going to be paying out at different times. We can aggregate our earnings across a time frame. Let's say that we make on average 0.5%, right? And let's say that we do that once, let's say that we, on average, we figure out how to do that. One opportunity pays out one day, one opportunity pays out the next day. And, we do really well with our money. This is a good case scenario, right? Let's say that we do that for a year solid. And let's say we only do that, 2.5% a week. That's what we're averaging over all of our wins, over all of our portfolio. And how much we're actually making is 2.5%. We're not including weekends. We're only doing a 5-day week. We're making 0.5% a week. If you're starting with a $10,000 bankroll, which is for some of us a lot of money, I admit. If you want to get to here, my advice to you is simple. Get out your wallet. You want to see your portfolio go up? You want to see your portfolio go from 6,000 to 10,000? We'll put $100 in each and every week. Get out your wallet. It's the fastest way I know to get to the point where you can start using your money to make more money. Buy Bitcoin, buy Ethereum, doesn't matter what you buy. What matters is that you start investing in yourself. You start increasing your portfolio. You start increasing your assets that can make you assets. Okay? Well, what happens is if you keep doing this time after time, day after day, week after week, month after month, you do this for a year, okay? What happens is that this is real money. This works out to $50 a day, right? And $50 a day is nothing to sneeze at in my book. $50 a day, well, that's a nice night out, right? $50 a day, well, that's a tank of gas in my car. That's what that is. And then the next day I get to do it again. Then the next day I get to do it again. Now, obviously, you're not going to do this every day. That's not real. Some days you're going to do 20%ers, and other days you're going to sit there and do nothing but invest in them. What I'm talking about is averaging this out over time, okay? And what happens is if you keep on reinvesting your earnings, if you keep on putting your earnings, if you keep on getting out your wallet when you're making money and putting more money into making more money, what happens is by the end of 3 months, well, you're not making $50 a day anymore, you're making $70 a day. By the end of the 4th month, you're practically at $100 a day. Here's 160. We're at $110. Okay. Here's day 200. You're making over $134 a day. Your bankroll is at $27,000. By the end of the year, if you keep doing this, you have turned $10,000 into $60,000. You're making $300 a day. For some people, this is life-changing. This is a lot of money for some people. Okay? That's year 1. Now let's do year 2. What happens at the end of year 2? We take that $60,000 and we keep doing this. We keep being smart about our money and investing our money and getting out our wallet and increasing our bankroll and taking this money and putting it back into our opportunities. We're working a job. We're sitting here, working for the man, trying to grow our bankroll, investing in ourselves because nobody else is going to do it for you. Nobody else is going to sit here and get out their wallet and make your bankroll bigger. Well, at the end of 100 days at the end of this, you're already up $500 a day. Your bankroll is now $100,000. By the end of the year, your bankroll is $370,000. Okay. Well, this is a lot of money in 2 years' time. That's 600% a year. That's absolutely right. Right. Let's take that down. Let's see what happens. Right. We'll start with 10,000. You know, we'll start with something more reasonable here, because this is going to be really slow if we don't. We'll start with 20,000, which is what what I recommend you get your wallet out and get yourself to, if you haven't already, and you make a plan to do that over the next 6 months. Is you skip lunch and you spend $50 each week when your paycheck arrives, because you didn't eat lunch out, and you buy Bitcoin for yourself. You close your eyes and you buy Ethereum for yourself. You close your eyes and you put your money where your mouth is. Okay, we started out with 20,000. We're only doing 0.2% a day. That is 1% a week. That's 4% a month. Okay, so that's not a lot. If we just do that for a year, we've doubled our money. We've turned 20,000 into 40,000. This is, for most people, life-changing. Being able to say every single day last year that I made on average $50 a day, just by working the markets, just by doing things, just by sitting here and working my job and saving up money and putting money into my portfolio, I doubled my worth. This can be life-changing. This can be a lot of money for people, okay? So I'm not saying that this is a reality. I'm not saying this is what's going to happen to you. I'm saying that if you don't make a plan for this to happen, if you don't make a plan to get out your wallet and put yourself in a position where you can do this, where you can take this amount of money and do this with it over this amount of time, you won't get to here. But if you do, you will. And that's the difference between someone who lives paycheck to paycheck and someone who has disposable income. Is they create additional income. They create passive income for themselves. This is an example of passive income. This is an example of something that in the beginning you're putting a lot of effort into it. You're putting a lot of money into it. You're putting a lot of work and time, and you're putting a lot of, learning into it. But you're holding on to all the money. At the end of the day, all the money is going to you. Unlike giving your money to someone else, you own the assets, at least in theory. When they're on the exchange, you do. Call this custody. But the money that you're getting out and you're putting it into your wallet, you're not giving it to the bank, you're not giving it to the car payment, you're not giving it to somebody else who then gets it. You get it. You get to here. You get to be at 41 at the end of the year. So now, at the end of the year, we do 41, and we do it again next year, right? And where are we by the end of the year? We're at 85. We're close to 100,000. Okay. So in 2 years' time, you went from having 20,000 in your bank account, in your portfolio, to 85,000. I'm sure by the time we get to 85, we can probably top 250,000 here by the end of year 3, right? Going to be close, 176,000. Okay, these are very, very conservative numbers. These are very, very doable numbers, and I'm telling you that that most people who have done this have done a lot better in these markets than that. Not everyone, but a lot of people have. A lot, the Bitcoin millionaire, that's a thing. And what I'm telling you is that the Bitcoin millionaire Well, what he did is he got out his wallet and he bought cryptocurrency. So you need to make a plan if you want to be a Bitcoin millionaire to do the same. And make sure that the money is going back into your pocket. And this is the fastest way, this is the best way I know to get there, along with your own contribution. Now, the problem here is that achieving this is a lot of work, as I mentioned. What's more is we need to be very diligent and disciplined to our plan. And our plan requires us to constantly manage our diversification in a balancing act that we call portfolio balance. The act of portfolio balance is having enough in your portfolio to manage what it is that you have versus what it is that you are about to spend. Now, today what we've done is we've demonstrated this on Excel sheets, and I've shown you the formulas, and I've shown you how they break down. But obviously, this is not an effective way of doing this, right? What I've shown you is I've shown you taking the orders that you plan out, going to the exchange, and then putting them in as limit orders. Obviously, this isn't effective, right? Because what you're going to do is you're going to sit there and you're going to have to copy those numbers back out of the Excel sheet and into the exchange, and then when those exchange orders happen, you're going to have to take those numbers yourself, put them into your Excel sheet, do all the calculating, right? This is a very time-consuming thing to do. Fortunately, the reverse, the inverse, I should say, of diversification is automation. Automation is the thing that, in the nature of diversification, we create more work for ourselves. Automation is the thing that creates less work for ourselves. What we want to do is we want to automate the task of managing, first and foremost, our dollar cost average. That's kind of like right there. Knowing how much we spent, knowing what our current profit line is, knowing where we're able to sell, that's job number one. Job number two is, of course, putting in the buys and sell orders according to the plan as we have described the plan, and that requires making the plan itself, which should be self-evident. Okay. So the point that I'm making here is that these things have what we call an API. And what an API is it's a piece of, it's a web service that, it's just like, it works on the same principles that the web does. And what the API does is it enables you to do things on your behalf without actually logging in through the website. What this looks like is this looks like bots. There are lots and lots and lots of bots out there. And what I'm trying to explain to you is I'm breaking them down into two different categories. There are bots that are informational. They tell you what it is that you are, where it is that you are. They manage your dollar cost average. They read the raw information from the order history. Here's the order history right here. They make a request on your behalf using your API key, and they get your order history. And what they do is they compute your dollar cost average. They figure out, well, if you've spent this much and this is how much you own, then the amount you spent divided by the amount you've owned, well, that's your dollar cost average. This is where you'll be profitable. The other thing that they do is that they track your, what orders are open and what orders are closed, and they can actually place those orders for you. Okay? So, a lot of what we'll be doing now and for the rest of this week is we'll be doing deeper dives into aspects of automation. And what I want you to start with is I want you to start with the understanding of what your wallet actually looks like. There's get market, gets currencies, get balances, right? What a bot does is it calls this and figures out what your balances are, and then it calls this and it figures out how much you've spent, and it divides, it adds all of this up and adds all of those up and divides one by the other. Now you've got your dollar cost average. The other type of thing is a bot that will place a buy limit order or place a sell limit order. The reason that it's able to do this is because of the API, and what you have to do is you have to decide when the bot is going to buy and when the bot is going to sell. And what each bot does is each bot generally offers different strategies. One of the most common strategies you'll see is the RSI strategy. And this is quite simple. When the RSI goes below 20, this is your buy signal. When the RSI goes above 80, this is your sell signal. So, what you'll find, and what I'm going to explain to you, is a lot of these strategies are pure trash. Doing that alone, simply buying and selling when the RSI goes below 20 and above 80, is for fools. The problem is that unless you know how much you are going to be buying and how much you're going to be buying when that RSI, when that chart goes down, even when the RSI is below 20, that's where the fools rush in, right? That's where the mistakes happen. That's where all the errors occur. And what happens is that they just start buying every time the RSI goes down because the bot says, hey, I'm going to be buying when the RSI does this or the RSI does that. You told me to go ahead and do this. We got a question from the dojo. Do these things take fees into consideration? I noticed that on paper, especially with small positions, fees start to become annoying. Yes, a big part of this is fees. And what I do in my planning is I account for my fees as part of my plan, right? If my profit target is 10% and my fee is 0.25%, then really my profit target is 9.75% in my final calculation, right? So when I go to compute that I made 10%, I really made 9.75%, and I subtract that, in my Excel sheet when I'm doing my profit calculation. A good bot, in my opinion, is one that maximizes your information. Fortunately, such things are readily available. When I go to select an indicator, like the RSI, I have the relative strength index. I also have a couple of options here. One of those options is called the RSI strategy. And what I want to point out is that there's this little up-down arrow next to it. This right here is an indicator. More to the point, it is a lagging indicator. The reason that it is a lagging indicator is because all of the information is based upon information from the past. The RSI looks back generally 14 bars back on whatever time frame chart roll up you're looking at. The MACD looks back 12 and 26 respectively. Of course, these are adjustable. These are not hard and fast rules by any stretch of the imagination. What I'm pointing out is all of this information is lagging information. This is in contrast to something like the Fibonacci projection, in which we're projecting a measurement based upon projecting a line or a measurement based upon a previous motion. What a strategy does is a strategy attempts to use a indicator. Remember, this is an indicator. A strategy attempts to use an indicator to create a plan for buying and selling. Okay? What it does is it says, sorry, let me just pull up the code for this right here. What it does is it says, I want to create a strategy called the RSI. And what I want to do is I want to create a input length of 14, right? And I want to say oversold and overbought is 30 and 70 respectively. These are called inputs because what we can do is we can modify them. We can say, come up here and pull up our inputs. Sorry, wrong one. We can come up here and modify our inputs, right? A length of 14, a oversold of 30, and a overbought of 70. Okay. Then what we can do is compute our RSI. Now we've already gone through the calculation for the RSI. What we're doing is we're taking the current RSI and we're looking 14 back, presuming that you've chosen 14, right? This is just making sure that we actually have a valid RSI signal. And this is crossover. It says if X series is defined as having crossed over Y series, if the value of X is greater than the value of Y and the value of Y is less than the value of Y, then the bar in the bar immediately preceding the current bar, then we say that the RSI has crossed over, right? The RSI has crossed over, the VRSI has crossed over our oversold, which is 30. If that happens, what we want to do is we want to signal to the bot, hey, go ahead and do some buying. We want to go ahead and do an entry and do entry long, right? We want to go ahead and long. As opposed to if it goes overbought, if it goes, if it goes above 70, then we want a strategy short, which is to say we want to sell. The result of this is that what you can see here is that every time the RSI goes... Sorry, let me pull up the RSI. That would probably help, huh? The result is that every time the RSI goes, right, here's a point in time where it had previously gone above 70, and then it went below 30, right here. So we told the strategy to go ahead and buy. Now, obviously, here it went above 70 and we sold. This is a shitty strategy. Shouldn't do this, right? And to be honest, this is what most bots will do for you. If you buy a bot out of the box, like a gun bot, or there's any number of them. Go search Google for names of bots, right? This is mostly what they're going to do for you. Is they're going to buy the RSI because it dipped below 30, and they're going to sell the RSI because it went above 70, and you're going to lose money this way. Just a dumb idea. Okay, it isn't to say that this form of automation doesn't have merit. In fact, there is a lot of merit in this. What we can find out is that we can find out that this strategy sucks. We can actually go ahead and test this strategy against the past and find out, well, we would have lost $1,000 if we had tried doing that, right? Here's what our profit would have looked like. And this sucked, right? What we needed to do was we needed to incorporate dollar cost averaging into this strategy. And then we could have turned a losing strategy into a winning strategy. And by simply coming in here and grabbing a different strategy, I bet you could find a strategy that's a winner. Why was it a winner? Because what it did in the past worked. Now, what I'm going to tell you is that backtesting is a useful way of seeing if your strategy worked in the past. That doesn't actually mean that in the future the strategy is going to perform the same way. The fact of the matter is that if you test the strategy under these market conditions right here, okay, the strategy is going to perform radically different under these market conditions right here. And if you test that strategy, you'll find that out pretty quick. Look how much money you lost when a strategy that was working in good market conditions was the exact same strategy applied in different market conditions. Are these bad market conditions? No, these are great market conditions for making money. We just needed a different strategy. And a different strategy can be tested on paper. We can automate the creation of the strategy and test it without spending a single dime. In fact, there is a huge public library of strategies. There are people who sit here and do nothing but program strategies. And I'm not saying that any one of these strategies is a silver bullet. What I'm saying is that there's value in studying these strategies. Why is the MACD plus an SMA 200 strategy a good idea? What is he doing? And what is the result of doing it? Maybe you learn that, I mean, look at this. Look at our testing of this strategy, right? This is clearly a superior strategy for the past. Does that mean that it's going to be working exactly the same in the future? God, no. No, you need a plan for what's going to work in the future no matter what. That doesn't change. What I'm pointing out is that maybe he's noticed a different correlation. So I'm coming up here and I'm selecting the strategy that I've chosen, and I'm clicking on Show Me the Code. And then I'm coming down here and I'm pulling this thing up. This is usually just hidden way down here at the bottom. You don't even see it, right? I'm just pulling this up right here. And I'm looking at what his code is, right? And what he's doing is he's computing a couple of simple moving averages in order to compute the MACD, right? Here's his fast-moving average. Here's his slow-moving average. And he's looking for changes in this fast-moving average and the slow-moving averages, and crossing overs and crossing unders. And in those cases, when those things are happening, he's doing entries and exits of the strategy. And in testing, we can find out just how much money that made. Automation is the tool that allows us to reduce the amount of work that we have to do. It's not like we have to come in here and find out what the optimal RSI is every single time. We can automate that. It's not like we have to come in here and find out what the optimal, set of indicators are. We can automate that to a large degree. To the degree that we can automate as much information as we possibly can. This strategy has worked well in the past. It can become part of the information that we incorporate into the optimization of our plan making. So we have 1 through 6, 1 through 7. Well, guess what 8 is? 8 is a strategy that tests well. And then 9 is news. 9 is your fundamental analysis. Is this thing in the charts? Is this thing in the news? Is this thing in the media? Is this thing, about to make a huge announcement? Are they going to have an upcoming session? In the past, when a developer gives a talk, does the thing go down usually? Does that later create a buying opportunity for us if we wait for it to go all the way down and then come back up? It does if we make a plan. It does if we plan the trade. We trade the plan. And that is the way of the trader. I want to thank you all so much for joining me. The rest of the week, we're going to be studying more ways of automating and optimizing our plan until we get to the actual mother of all automation, automating the plan making itself. I really hope you'll join me, and I'll see you all soon. Good night.